Hi, and welcome to Brain Bites. Today's topic is directly connected to your health, lifestyle, and everyday choices. We're talking about one of the most brilliant, self-regulating machines on the planet, the human body. So, you know that feeling when you're just a few minutes into a run and suddenly you're completely out of breath, just gasping for air? It's an incredibly common experience, right? But the actual reason behind it is a fascinating biological mystery that honestly most people get completely wrong. So today, we're going to unpack exactly what goes down inside your body the moment you hit the pavement. Here is what we're looking at today. First, the real reason we pant. Second, the chemical domino effect. Third, athlete versus average runner. Fourth, 5 ways to breathe better. And fifth, warning signs to stop. All right, let's dive right into section 1, the real reason we pant. I want you to think about this for a second. If someone asked you right now, hey, why do you pant when you run? What would you say? If you're like pretty much everyone else, you'd probably think, well, because my body is running out of oxygen, right? Well, I am here to tell you that this is a total myth. A lack of oxygen is not the main thing making your chest heave. So what on earth is? The actual truth is, we pant because our blood literally becomes acidic. When you exercise, carbon dioxide, CO2, builds up super fast in your system. Now, you have this tiny, powerful area in your brain called the medulla oblongata. Think of it as a highly caffeinated, kind of panicky boss who's strictly in charge of your lungs. The second it detects this acidic blood and spiking CO2, it immediately fires off panic signals down your phrenic nerve. It's basically yelling at your lungs, hey, what are we doing here? We have way too much CO2. So, that heavy panting? It's actually your body's desperate, automated attempt to blow off that excess carbon dioxide, not just a frantic scramble to grab more oxygen.
That brings us to section 2, the chemical domino effect.
Let's look at how this chain reaction perfectly unfolds. When you start running, your mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses in your cells, suddenly need a massive amount of energy. Now, cellular energy is measured in ATP. Think of ATP as your body's monetary currency. Suddenly, your cells need 100 times more cash just to keep you moving. If your oxygen intake can't keep up with that crazy demand, your body flips a switch and relies on anaerobic respiration. It breaks down glucose into pyruvate and then into lactate. But here's the catch. This process unleashes these rogue hydrogen ions, or H+ ions. These guys are the real villains here. They crash your blood's pH level from a nice healthy 7.4 right down to an acidic 7.1. To save you, your blood's bicarbonate buffer system rushes in, capturing and neutralizing those hydrogen ions, and the byproduct of this internal rescue mission, a massive spike in CO2, which, like we just talked about, triggers your brain to make you start panting. And you know, this perfectly explains another weird mystery, why you keep breathing so heavily even after you've totally stopped running and sat down on a bench. It's all because of a mechanism called EPOC, or excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. Basically, your body is paying off a chemical debt. It has to keep pulling in extra oxygen to fix that balance between oxygen and CO2 that got thrown so out of whack during your run. It literally will not stop panting until the chemical books are completely balanced.
Moving on to section 3, athlete versus average runner.
It is absolutely wild to see the difference in internal machinery here. A trained athlete literally alters their physiological blueprint. To put this into perspective, an average person pumps about 70 milliliters of blood per heartbeat. But an athlete, their left ventricle is so incredibly strong that it pumps 120 to 150 milliliters. That's almost double the volume with every single beat. Their heart works less but does way more. Their oxygen usage, or VO2, is nearly twice as efficient. And the most crucial part, their lactate threshold. An everyday runner hits that painful acidic wall at just 50 to 60% effort, while the trained athlete can push all the way to 80 or 90% effort before their blood pH even starts to crash. The secret weapon behind all this endurance happens at a microscopic level. Through repeated, grueling training, athletes essentially force their bodies to build incredibly dense networks of capillaries. These are the tiny pipes that deliver oxygenated blood. Plus, their muscle cells multiply their mitochondria. So, with more powerhouses and way better delivery pipes, they can keep up clean, aerobic energy production for much longer, which dramatically delays that acidic buildup we talked about. I really hope this is completely changing how you view your own body's physical limits. Oh, and by the way, if you're finding this explainer useful so far, take a quick second to like it. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people who want to learn how their amazing bodies actually work.
All right, section 4, 5 ways to breathe better.
We are going to look at a toolkit of 5 clinically supported, evidence-based methods. So, rhythmic breathing, belly breathing, zone 2 cardio, nasal breathing, and progressive threshold runs. These aren't just random tips you'd find anywhere. These are legitimate physiological hacks to maximize your oxygen efficiency and manage your CO2 levels. So, method 1 is called a rhythmic locomotor respiratory coupling. I know, it sounds super complicated, but it just means syncing your breath to your footfalls. You want to try a 2-2 or 3-2 pattern. For example, inhale smoothly for 2 steps and then exhale for 2 steps. Or inhale for 3, exhale for 2. The real trick here is to constantly alternate which foot is striking the ground when you exhale. Finding this rhythmic pattern totally stops you from shallow breathing and just dramatically improves your overall efficiency. Method number 2 is an absolute game changer: belly breathing. You see, when we get tired, we tend to panic a bit and take these really shallow breaths high up in our chest. That is incredibly inefficient. You want to practice diaphragmatic breathing. By breathing deep into your belly, you engage the diaphragm and actually pull air into the lower parts of your lungs. That's an area that usually just sits there totally unused. Doing this delivers significantly more oxygen to your blood with every single breath. Next up, method 3 is zone 2 cardio. This means doing the vast majority of your running at roughly 70% of your maximum heart rate. It should actually feel easy, like so easy that you could hold a conversation with someone running next to you. By consistently training at this specific low intensity, science shows that you are actively increasing the density and efficiency of those mitochondria in your muscle fibers over time. The sheer power of your nose brings us to method 4, nasal breathing. Whenever you can, try to breathe through your nose instead of your mouth. Why? Because when air passes through your sinus cavity, it actually triggers the release of nitric oxide. This is a miraculous little chemical that literally dilates or widens your blood vessels. It lowers your blood pressure, helps your entire body relax, and guarantees a much smoother blood flow while you're running. And our 5th and final method is the progressive threshold run, which you might know as a tempo run. So while zone 2 cardio builds up your base, every now and then you have to challenge the machine. About once a week, push yourself right to that edge where your breathing gets super heavy and your muscles really burn. By periodically forcing your body to hit its lactate limit, you are teaching it to adapt, gradually raising your lactate threshold higher and higher. Finally, section 5, warning signs to stop. The absolute most crucial point here is knowing when to stop completely. Do not try to be a hero if you experience any of these 4 things. Number 1, wheezing sounds. If your breathing gets raspy or forced, your airways are actually constricting like an asthma attack. Just stop. Number 2, angina, which is a sharp, acute pain in your chest near your heart. Number 3, sudden dizziness or that scary feeling that you might pass out. And number 4, extreme unexplainable weakness where your legs just feel like they're giving out. Listen, there is a very thin line between bravery and foolishness. If you see these red flags, stop running immediately and consult a doctor. So just think about the incredible complexity we explored today. Every single time you lace up your running shoes and hit the trail, millions of cells, a highly sophisticated buffering system, and a dedicated control center in your brain are all working in absolute perfect harmony to keep you moving. It's not a failure of oxygen. It's a brilliant, high-speed balancing act of your own internal chemistry. I hope you learned something truly fascinating today about the machine you live in. If you enjoyed this explainer, hit the like button, share it with others, and subscribe to Brain Bites for more valuable insights. Keep running, keep learning, and we will